Michael, what were you picking up from Christian believers that you were talking to in Russia? And as you say, there's something that they're enjoying in freedom, freedom of religion, and the church is flourishing. Do Christians typically support what has been happening under Putin and in the invasion of Ukraine?
Two traditions of Christianity that I saw in Russia. One is that what some very eager Christians have done is put crosses at the entrance to lots of cities, these giant crosses, and so not all Russians are that happy about this. And so there's a tradition, there's a sort of religious tradition, would say like a revival of orthodoxy. And so there's lots of chapels and there's lots of crosses, and a lot of people wear crosses, and a lot of people pray, and they go to all those things. And there are a lot of people who remember, whose families remember the past, and so in those families they have revived a lot of those Orthodox traditions. Then the other Christians, there's also the Old Believers too in Russia, which I didn't know anything about. This is a very fascinating group of Russians where they were entire cities and communities called Old Believers, and they refused to accept the amendments or changes to the Orthodox Church. And they're a little bit like the Amish, I suppose, in America, but they're very devout people, very sincere followers of Christ, and they have built these communities and these towns where they practice their faith. And then there's another strand of Christianity in Russia, which is an internal faith, a personal faith, where they don't follow a particular creed or church building or church organization, but they follow Christ, they follow God in their own way, something like the non-church movement in Japan. So there's very much a thread, several threads of Christianity in Russia when you think of it. But Russians are they're very open about talking about their lives, and everyone's aware of the conflict in the Ukraine. They're aware of the origins of the conflict dating back to 2014 when America helped to topple the democratically elected government in Ukraine and put in their puppets. And you see it on Zelensky's face. He's like a kite in a whirlwind. He doesn't know whether he's coming or going. And you see little glimpses of Zelensky at the United Nations where he actually says his opinion publicly and everyone condemns him. And my great fear with this whole situation is that America will betray the Ukraine like they betrayed the Kurds, and then we'll just move on to the next conflict, which may be in Africa, maybe climate change. Ultimately, what needs to happen is there needs to be peace settlement, negotiation. Sadly, the churches are aiming for total defeat of Russia, which will not happen. Russia will prevail in this conflict. They just simply have more factories. It's like the Civil War in America. The North won because they had the military might, and Russia will win because they have the factories and the weapons. Doesn't matter how many Abrams tanks America sends them.